Hey everyone, welcome back to another deep dive with me and
Yeah, let's get right into it.
okay, so today we're going to be talking all about Scott Galloway.
Um, yes. One of my favorite business and tech experts.
He's kind of got that like blunt honesty thing going on,
Yeah, he's not afraid to kind of like ruffle some feathers.
and tell it like it is.
Okay. And that's what we're going to get into today.
We're looking specifically at an interview that he did.
On the Diary of a CEO YouTube channel.
So we're not looking at his books, we're not looking at articles,
We wanted to go to like the source material.
like just him talking to another person.
And it was a really great interview.
Yeah, it was super interesting. One of the things
I think that stood out to me was how open he was.
about his own like struggles and setbacks,
Yeah, like even as a multimillionaire today, he's very open about
the fact that he's made mistakes.
big mistakes sometimes.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. One of the big things,
That he talks about is this idea of the algebra of wealth.
okay, so is it like a literal equation?
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, he kind of uses the word algebra metaphorically
Okay.
to talk about this like framework for achieving financial security.
Okay.
And it's really about like these key principles that anyone can apply.
Okay, so what are these principles?
So he really emphasizes like three core things.
Okay.
Secure a stable, high-paying career.
Makes sense.
You need to cultivate discipline in your spending habits. And then
That's probably the hardest part for most people.
yeah, I mean, we're all bombarded by, advertisements and the temptation to spend.
Oh, yeah.
But the third part is really where the magic happens, and that's letting the magic of compounding work its wonders over time.
Okay, so this is something that we've talked about a lot on the show.
It's so important.
The idea that, like, time is your biggest asset when it comes to building wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
And he tells this crazy story about his friend who invested, like, a tiny amount of money early in his career.
Yeah, it was like $2,000.
And thanks to the power of compound interest that turned into millions. Millions!
Over time.
I mean, it's mind-blowing to think about that.
Yeah, and it really underscores that, like, you don't have to be...
Financial genius or anything?
You don't have to, like, time the market perfectly.
Just starting early, even with small amounts, can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So that leads us to another cornerstone.
Of the algebra of wealth.
Yes, diversification.
Diversification.
The don't put all your eggs in one basket strategy.
Yeah, and I'm guessing this ties back to the fact that he's been really open about
His own failures.
like losing everything on one investment.
He definitely learned that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
And it completely changed how he approaches investing now.
Interesting.
So he uses this visual of a bucket of sand,
Okay.
and he encourages everyone to picture their portfolio.
As a bucket of sand.
Exactly. You're gradually accumulating over time with consistent investments
Okay.
in all sorts of different assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, you name it.
So if like a few grains of sand blow away,
Yeah.
you're not left with an empty bucket. You're not devastated. It acts as a buffer.
It protects you from those like big financial blows.
Exactly. And it's not just about like protecting your money either. It's
Okay.
also about protecting your emotions.
Yeah, because when you have your,
Whole portfolio tied up in one thing.
it can be so stressful.
It's like riding a roller coaster every day.
And that takes a toll.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this algebra of wealth, we've got time, we've got compounding.
We've got diversification.
What else does he have to say for?
Well, he also has some really great advice for like younger people.
Who are just starting out?
Exactly, because they have even more time on their side
Right.
to let that compounding magic work.
Okay.
And one thing that he really emphasizes is geographic mobility.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's a big believer in like moving to where the opportunities are.
And he specifically talks about these 20 super cities.
Yeah, these are cities all around the world where there's just a ton of economic growth.
Okay.
And he thinks that younger people especially,
Should consider moving to one of these cities.
it's like if you're an average swimmer,
Okay.
you're much more likely to succeed in a pool with a strong current pushing you forward.
Okay, so it's about like strategically positioning yourself in an environment
Exactly.
where there's just like more opportunities swirling around.
Yeah, and he's not saying that everyone needs to move to,
In New York or Silicon Valley.
but just being open to the possibility
Right.
of relocating to a place where there's more opportunity.
That could make a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's a really valuable piece of advice.
Okay, so we've talked about like the algebra of wealth.
We've talked about diversification.
We've talked about moving to one of these super cities.
What else?
He also talks about this idea of asking for help.
Oh, yeah. He has a really interesting take on mentorship.
Okay, so what does he say? Because I feel like we've all heard that, like,
Yeah, you need to find a mentor.
right, find a mentor.
He actually advises against directly asking someone to be your mentor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, instead, he says, you should focus on building genuine relationships with successful people by seeking advice on specific issues.
Oh, so instead of saying, like, will you be my mentor?
Right.
You're saying, like, I really admire your work in this specific area.
Exactly.
And I'm struggling with this specific challenge.
And I'd love to get your perspective.
Oh, okay. So it's less pressure.
It's more targeted, and it allows for this more, like, natural connection to develop.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
He even tells this story about a young man who emailed him for advice after, like, a brief encounter.
And that simple act of reaching out
Sparked a valuable relationship.
So even the busiest, most successful people,
Right.
they're often willing to help if you approach them.
In the right way?
With the right attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's really interesting.
And, speaking of offering something unique,
Yes.
Galloway really emphasizes storytelling as a critical skill for success.
Okay.
And he says this about any field, not just business.
Interesting. So why does he think storytelling is so important?
Well, he believes that whether you're pitching an idea, leading a team trying to get a promotion, the ability to tell a compelling story is what really captivates people.
So it's not enough to just, like, have the knowledge?
No.
You have to be able to communicate it effectively.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
He emphasizes finding a medium where you excel.
So whether that's writing, public speaking, podcasting.
Even making TikToks, and then practicing your storytelling every single day.
So for all of our listeners who are already natural storytellers,
keep honing your craft.
Keep at it.
And for those who are still figuring it out, just pick a medium and start practicing.
And the more you do it, the better you'll get.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got storytelling, we've got the algebra of wealth.
Let's not forget about taxes.
Ugh, taxes, the dreaded T word.
But Galloway says understanding tax avoidance strategies while staying completely ethical and legal, of course, is really key to maximizing your financial gains.
So he's not talking about evading taxes.
No, not at all. He's talking about being smart. About minimizing your tax burden.
Within the law.
Exactly. And he gives this example of borrowing against your stock. Instead of selling it to avoid those capital gains taxes.
Interesting. So it's like
kind of a sneaky way.
Yeah, you're getting access to the money.
Without having to pay those taxes.
Interesting.
It's a strategy that a lot of, like, high net worth individuals use. It can be really powerful.
And beyond stocks.
Yeah.
He also mentions real estate as an investment.
Right. Acknowledging both the advantages and some of the downsides.
So real estate, it's not always like a slam dunk.
It depends on your individual situation. And your goals.
And he also talks about cryptocurrency.
He does.
And other alternative investments.
But his main message stays consistent.
What's that?
Diversification and a long-term approach are key.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
No matter what that basket is filled with.
Whether it's stocks, real estate, Bitcoin, you've got to diversify. Okay, so we've talked about a lot of stuff.
A lot of financial stuff. But, Galloway also shares some personal reflections on, like, work-life balance. Family relationships, all that good stuff.
So this is kind of the other side of the coin. Because ultimately, it's not just about
accumulating money.
It's about building a fulfilling life.
Exactly. Money is just a tool. It's not the end goal.
So what does he say about this whole, like,
work-life balance thing?
Well, he really emphasizes the importance of finding a partner.
Who's aligned with your financial goals?
So you're both on the same page.
Exactly. And you have a shared vision for the future.
And he also talks about investing.
In those meaningful relationships.
So it's not just about your financial portfolio.
No, it's about
your relationship portfolio as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about nurturing those connections.
Because at the end of the day, money.
It can't buy you happiness.
No, but it can buy you freedom.
It can give you options.
Exactly, and that can lead to a more fulfilling life.
Okay, so before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive into Galloway's world, I want to leave you with a thought-provoking question.
Hit me with it.
Okay, so throughout this whole interview, he never explicitly mentions the impact of mindset.
Oh, interesting.
On financial success.
Okay.
So here's the question I want you to think about.
Okay.
Is a positive outlook a prerequisite for achieving wealth? Or can financial security itself lead to greater happiness?
Oh, that's a good one.
And contentment.
It's like the chicken and the egg.
Right. Which comes first?
Yeah. Does happiness lead to wealth, or does wealth lead to happiness?
So we'll delve into that very question in part 2.
Sounds good.
Exploring that complex relationship.
Intriguing.
Between wealth, happiness, and personal fulfillment.
Can't wait.
But for now, we encourage you to reflect on your own experiences.
Yeah.
And see what insights you uncover.
Definitely. Welcome back, everybody.
So before the break, we were talking about this, like...
mindset thing.
Yeah. Does having a positive mindset lead to wealth? Or does, like, achieving wealth lead to a more positive mindset?
It's a tough one. And Galloway doesn't really, like...
directly address it
in the interview.
Right.
But I think we can kind of, like...
read between the lines.
Yeah, extrapolate a little bit.
So what do you think?
Well, on the one hand, like... yeah. Having a positive outlook can be...
super powerful.
So powerful. It fuels motivation. It fuels resilience.
Yeah.
That willingness to take risks.
Which you kind of need to do if you want to
succeed.
Especially in business.
Especially in business.
Right.
So if you're constantly dwelling on the negative, what's going to happen?
You're probably not going to see those opportunities.
Exactly.
Or push yourself outside your comfort zone.
You're going to be too afraid to fail.
Right. And I think that ties into what he was saying about, like, going all in on that one company and, like, losing everything.
Oh, totally.
It's like, if you're so afraid of failure, you're never going to, like...
take those big swings.
Take the big swings.
Yeah.
But on the other hand,
yeah,
financial security itself can bring a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah.
You know, you're less stressed about bills.
Yeah, you're not constantly worrying about making ends meet.
You have more freedom.
Yeah.
To make choices that align with your values.
And that can definitely lead to
happiness.
Greater happiness.
For sure.
And it's like almost like that Maslow's hierarchy of needs thing.
Yes, exactly.
You need to have those basic needs met.
The foundation.
Including financial security.
Before you can really focus on, like, self-actualization and fulfillment.
Yeah, it's hard to be, like...
happy and fulfilled.
Yeah, when you're constantly stressed about money.
100%.
And I think Galloway's own story is a really good example of that.
Yeah, remember that story he told about...
when his son was born?
Yeah, and he was so overwhelmed with fear and shame.
Shame.
Because he had just lost everything.
In that bad investment.
It really shows how, like, financial instability can impact...
your emotional well-being.
Even during times that should be, like, pure joy.
It's a good reminder that money isn't just about, like... stuff, yeah. It's about having options and freedom.
Yeah.
To make choices that align with your values.
Yeah, and I think that connects to his advice about...
finding a partner.
Finding a partner.
Who's on the same page.
Who's aligned with your financial goals.
Exactly. It's not just about splitting bills.
It's about... having that shared vision.
For your financial future.
Yeah, and a common understanding of, like, what truly matters.
Having those shared values.
Yeah.
And speaking of, like, emotional intelligence.
Yes.
I think there's a connection there to what Galloway said about storytelling.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like...
being a great storyteller.
Requires empathy.
Being able to connect with your audience.
On an emotional level.
Yeah, and that's crucial for building those...
strong relationships.
Strong relationships.
Yeah.
Whether it's with business partners.
Employees. Family.
I'm all about connection.
So maybe a positive mindset isn't just about, like, blind optimism.
Right.
Maybe it's more about cultivating self-awareness.
Understanding your strengths.
Understanding your weaknesses and being able to...
communicate.
Yeah, communicate effectively.
Your ideas and your values.
Yeah.
To others.
Okay, so we've talked about mindset.
Yeah.
But let's circle back to some of Galloway's more practical advice.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
He had a lot to say about the actual mechanics of investing.
He did.
Especially this idea of starting early.
Oh, he's a huge advocate for that.
Remember that whole bucket of sand analogy?
Oh, yeah.
Like gradually filling it up over time?
He really hammered that point home.
Yeah. Time is your biggest asset.
Time is your friend?
Yeah.
Let that compound interest work its magic.
It's so easy to underestimate.
The power of time.
The power of time.
And he even admitted that he made that mistake himself. Yeah, he was talking about that bonus check.
From his early days at Morgan Stanley.
It was like $28,000 or something.
I know, crazy, right?
If he had just invested that.
It would be worth millions today.
Millions, but he spent it.
Hindsight's 20/20.
It is.
But it's a good lesson for all of us.
Yeah, start early. Even if it's a small amount.
Just start.
And he also talked about
like
finding ways to automate your savings.
Automate everything.
Make it like a mindless habit.
Exactly, like those apps that round up your purchases and invest the difference.
Well, it's like tricking yourself into saving.
Exactly. You don't even have to think about it.
And for those who are ready to start investing.
Yeah.
But maybe they're feeling a little overwhelmed.
There are so many options out there.
Yeah, he had some pretty straightforward advice.
He did. What did he say?
He's a big fan of those low-cost
ETFs.
exchange-traded funds.
Especially the ones that track the S&P 500.
Yeah, like SPY.
Yeah.
That's like a simple way to
capture that overall market growth.
Yeah, and then he suggested like maybe put 70% in a broad market ETF.
Okay.
And then the other 30%.
You can have some fun with.
Yeah, you can explore individual stocks or other assets.
That pique your interest.
So it's like a balanced approach.
Exactly.
You're getting that broad market exposure.
But
you can also play around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
And he also talked about real estate.
He did.
Acknowledging both the
good and the bad.
Yeah, the potential upsides and downsides.
Yeah, he really stressed the importance of understanding the tax benefits.
Yeah, there are some good tax advantages.
But he also cautioned against over-leveraging yourself.
Especially when you're younger.
Yeah, when you need that flexibility.
Okay.
So you know it's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right. Real estate's not for everyone.
It's about making informed decisions.
Yeah.
And not just blindly following the crowd.
And you know, one thing that he said that kind of caught my attention.
Oh, what was that?
He was talking about becoming a super tax avoider.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, what does that even mean?
It sounds a little shady.
It does sound a little shady.
Yeah.
He was very clear about doing it.
Legally.
Legally and ethically.
He's not talking about cheating the system.
No, he's talking about understanding the rules.
Yeah.
Playing the game strategically.
Like that example he gave about borrowing against your stock.
Right, instead of selling it.
To avoid those capital gains taxes.
It's a perfectly legal strategy.
It is, and it can be super effective.
It can save you a lot of money.
So it's about being proactive and savvy with your finances.
Exactly.
Not about like hiding income.
Or doing anything illegal.
Right. And he also mentions something called
QSB.
Yeah, qualified small business status.
Yeah, which offers some really great tax breaks.
Yeah.
For entrepreneurs.
So it's not all bad news?
No, the tax code actually has some provisions
that are designed to help you.
Yeah, that encourage entrepreneurship and small business growth.
So it's like a hidden treasure.
You just got to know where to look.
You got to know where to look. And as your financial situation gets more complex,
yeah,
Galloway really stresses the importance of seeking out expert tax advice.
Yeah, because it can get really complicated.
It can.
And it's worth it to
have someone on your team.
Yeah, have like a financial Sherpa.
I love that, a financial Sherpa.
To guide you through those treacherous mountains.
Those treacherous mountains of tax.
For taxes, exactly. Okay, so beyond taxes.
Yeah.
Galloway also offered some really good advice about decision making.
Which is crucial.
Yeah, in all aspects of life.
Not just finances.
Right.
And he emphasized the importance of slowing down.
Especially for those big life-altering decisions.
Those big ones.
The ones that you can't just like undo.
Exactly.
And he talked about seeking input from trusted advisors.
He called this slow thinking.
Slow thinking versus like fast thinking.
Yeah, for those everyday decisions.
Yeah, where you need to react quickly.
Exactly.
But for those big ones, he's like,
take your time.
Assemble a kitchen cabinet.
A kitchen cabinet of trusted advisors.
Bounce ideas off of them.
Get different perspectives.
Yeah, and he really believes in surrounding yourself with people who
challenge your assumptions.
And
help you see the bigger picture.
Yeah, because it's easy to get caught up.
In your own little bubble.
And
think that you have all the answers.
And you don't.
You don't. Nobody does.
And he also talked a lot about the importance of relationships.
Yeah, both personal and professional.
Yeah, he stressed generosity, forgiveness.
Recognizing that everyone has their own
strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. And he talked about how important it is to bring empathy and understanding
to any relationship.
Especially marriage, acknowledging that no relationship is perfectly balanced all the time.
It's about being willing to compromise.
Support each other.
And work together as a team.
Exactly. A team approach is always more effective than going it alone.
Yeah. And he also made this really interesting point about the role of relationships.
In building wealth.
Yeah.
He said that wealthy individuals often cultivate
strong networks. And they invest in those meaningful connections.
Both professionally and personally.
Yeah, it's like that saying, your network is your net worth.
Exactly.
But it's not just about like transactional relationships.
No, it's about cultivating those genuine connections.
Based on mutual respect and support.
Exactly.
And then finally,
he
had this really interesting piece of advice for young people.
What was that?
Be risk aggressive.
When you're young?
When you're young.
Yeah.
When you have less to lose.
He's all about taking those big swings early on.
Yeah, because you have time to recover.
Exactly. You have time to bounce back.
And you have more flexibility.
You're not as tied down.
He actually used this phrase.
What was it?
He said, you should workshop your career.
Workshop your career. I love that.
Try different things.
Experiment.
Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Because that's how you learn.
And he even joked that, like, when you're younger, you're more likely to find a couch to crash on.
If things don't go as planned.
Right. You don't have, like, mortgage or kids to worry about.
Exactly.
And he also stressed the importance of being geographically mobile.
Especially early in your career.
Yeah, he was like, if you can
move to one of those super cities.
Move to a super city, do it.
Where the opportunities are.
Yeah, because it can really
increase your chances of success.
Okay, so I know we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
But if you had to pick, like, one key takeaway.
One key takeaway.
For our listeners, what would it be?
I think it would be this.
Okay.
Wealth building is a holistic endeavor.
It's not just about the numbers.
It's not just about the money.
It's about
mindset. It's about relationships.
Yeah.
And it's about embracing the journey.
It's about the whole package.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, on that note,
let's move on to the final part.
The final part of our deep dive.
Into the world of Scott Galloway. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into Scott Galloway, one thing that really sticks out to me is his emphasis on storytelling.
Oh, he's like obsessed with storytelling.
He really thinks it's like a secret weapon.
For success in any field.
And honestly, I'm starting to see why.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, like persuading investors. Motivating a team, even like negotiating a raise.
Yeah.
All of those situations, they all hinge on your ability
to tell a good story.
Compelling story.
Yeah. To like capture people's attention.
And get them to buy into your vision.
It's like he said, mastering the art of storytelling can help you punch above your weight class.
In any aspect of life.
I like that.
Yeah.
So for anyone listening who wants to like improve their storytelling skills.
He has some great advice.
What kind?
He says.
Okay.
Choose a medium that feels natural to you.
Okay.
Whether that's writing or speaking, creating videos, or even just like
sharing stories around the dinner table. And just commit to practicing every day.
Make it a habit.
Yeah, so if you're already active on social media,
think about how you can use those platforms
to share your story.
To connect with people.
To build a following.
Exactly. You don't need a fancy degree.
Yeah.
Or a TED Talk invitation.
The tools are already there.
It's all about putting in the effort.
Yeah, and consistency.
Consistency is key.
And he also talked about the importance of, like, finding your niche.
Becoming an expert.
Yeah, like becoming that go-to person.
In a specific area.
Yeah, whether it's like
ancient Roman history,
cryptocurrency,
sourdough bread,
whatever you're passionate about.
You become an authority.
Own that space.
Exactly.
And I love how he connected this back to
the emotional element.
The emotional element of storytelling.
It's not just about
reciting facts and figures.
No, it's about making people feel something.
Yeah.
Sparking their curiosity and making your message memorable.
It's about leaving an impression.
Exactly.
Speaking for lasting impressions.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that bucket of sand analogy.
Oh, yeah.
It's just such a good visual.
For understanding compound interest.
It really encapsulates Galloway's message about investing.
Start early, stay consistent.
Let your wealth grow organically.
Over time.
But he also stressed that it's not just about mindlessly
throwing money at the market.
Yeah, you need a plan.
A strategy.
You need a roadmap for your financial journey.
And that's where his algebra of wealth comes in.
Right. Find a career with high earning potential.
Develop disciplined spending habits.
Embrace that stoic mindset.
Diversify your investments.
Those are all key elements.
Oh, his framework.
And he even suggested, like...
what was it?
Turning saving into a game.
Oh, yeah, like challenging your friends.
To see who can spend the least amount of money.
It's a fun way to build those healthy habits.
Yeah, especially early on.
Yeah, when you're younger.
Make it a competition.
Exactly.
You know, as we've been going through all of this,
yeah,
I've been thinking about how Galloway's advice, it's not just about finance.
It's about life.
It's about life.
Yeah.
He seems to have this knack
for distilling these complex ideas
into these really simple, actionable steps.
Whether it's about investing or relationships or just like
navigating life.
Yeah, navigating the ups and downs of life.
And he's so relatable.
He is.
He doesn't shy away from sharing his own, like... vulnerabilities and mistakes.
Yeah, he's not afraid to admit that he's messed up.
Which makes his advice even more credible.
Yeah, because he's been there.
He's not just like...
preaching from a pedestal.
Yeah, he's down in the trenches with us.
Figuring things out as he goes along.
And I love that he's got a sense of humor about it.
Oh, yeah. He's funny.
Yeah, he doesn't take himself too seriously.
Remember that story about the Premier League?
Oh, yeah, he became like a diehard soccer fan.
Just because his sons are obsessed with it.
And he's like, I don't even like sports.
But he loves his sons.
It's so funny.
It's a good reminder.
It's a reminder that, like, sometimes you just gotta
Step outside your comfort zone.
Step outside your comfort zone.
And embrace the things
that matter to the people you love.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about prioritizing relationships.
Yeah.
And I think that ties back to his whole message about
wealth being a whole person project.
It's not just about the money.
It's about investing in your relationships, your well-being.
Living a life that's aligned with your values.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Scott Galloway,
okay,
I want to leave our listeners with his final thought.
Okay.
Remember, wealth is a tool.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, it can be a powerful tool.
For creating a life you love.
But it's not the only tool.
And it's certainly not the end goal.
Invest in yourself. Invest in your relationships.
Invest in your dreams.
And as Galloway said, squeeze all the juice out of this lemon called life.
Well said.
That's a wrap, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive.
And we'll catch you on the next one.